Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. David Schwartz, who is Ripple's CTO and co-creator of the XRP ledger, says that XRP was designed with sustainability in mind. He wrote a piece just the other day. It's part of Ripple's blog series, Ripple Insights, and this one's titled The Environmental Impact, Cryptocurrency Mining versus Consensus. And David Schwartz is perhaps my favorite person to listen to, not just within Ripple, the company, but within the entire blockchain space. I just love his perspective on everything, his take, and he just has this artful ability to make complex things understandable. So I certainly value it. So I'm going to let this piece, it's not that long, but I'm going to let this do a fair bit of the speaking in this video here. But it's just interesting stuff. And it's funny too, because just the other day somebody brought up in one of the comment sections of one of my other YouTube videos, hey, how come nobody ever talks about how Bitcoin's mining, it just from an eco perspective, is not exactly a deal. And I thought, yeah, well, this is great timing as a result. How about that? So before we get going, if you would please delicately tap that like button, I would certainly appreciate it. And also go ahead and subscribe to the Moon Lambo channel, the greatest YouTube channel in all the land. That's fact. All right, so let's jump in now. So here we go. Sustainability is a conversation that many seem to prefer to avoid with regard to currency and commerce. But the environmental ramifications of producing currency are shockingly profound. In fact, the sustainability of money is a hot topic that's inspired many heated debates and in-depth research reports. Most currency used today, whether it's physical fiat currency like paper money and coins or a digital asset like cryptocurrency, is not eco-friendly. The long-term impact from producing these currencies holds startling consequences for our planet. And I'll say this, and I'm certainly not going to get anything remotely political with the eco side of this, but I will say that just from a cost perspective, even if your primary motivator wasn't on the eco side, my gosh, it is expensive and nonsensical to actually pay for mining of cryptocurrencies. It's ridiculous here. But anyway, it continues. In theory, cryptocurrency is meant to avoid some of these environmental consequences because these are digital assets by design. However, depending on the specific digital asset, the energy consumption required to produce it varies wildly. Below, we'll examine two main mechanisms for implementing cryptocurrency: proof of work mining and consensus, and assess the environmental impact of each. So this is basically just an excellent opportunity to highlight that XRP is technologically superior to Bitcoin. Sorry, Bitcoin maxi trolls, facts be facts, my friend. You go waddle back to your bridge and be sad next to your dumpster fire. As adoption increases, industry leaders will need to move quickly to implement best practices and technology that reduce energy consumption to ensure our future for tomorrow. So what about proof of work mining? Well, the proof of work algorithm underlies Bitcoin and is used to validate transactions within its blockchain and to create and distribute new coins. As a mechanism or algorithm, proof of work requires mining, an incredibly energy-intensive process. Miners compete against each other to solve complex computational puzzles, a process that consumes large amounts of energy. On average, check this out, this is fascinating. On average, one application-specific integrated circuit, or ASIC, device designed for the sole purpose of mining digital currency can have an environmental cost of $1,500 a year. A high-performing miner may rack up as much as $6,000. Now, a 2018 study discovered that the hundreds of thousands of computers that work 24 hours a day to solve cryptographic puzzles and earn Bitcoin consumed 1.5 times the yearly energy consumption of Ireland. And just given that we know that there's technology that you can have that can do everything that Bitcoin can do but doesn't require this complete and utter nonsense, is it not still silly that this is being propped up? It's just not necessary. Completely silliness here. Why do we have to solve this cryptographic Sudoku puzzle just to have cryptocurrency? Come on, my friends. Like, it's ridiculous. And when I'm speaking like this, I'm just trying to get people to, and I know if you're listening, I mean, you probably already understand this, but I want people to understand just how completely nonsensical this is. It's not that I hate Bitcoin or I'm anti-Bitcoin or anything like that. I'm not a maximalist of any coin, and I never will be. I'm just recognizing that there are so many shortcomings of Bitcoin because it was the first cryptocurrency, because nobody had something to take as a base model and improve upon. Is it that surprising? It was a great first go. Hey, you can do things with this technologically, even with Bitcoin, that you can't with others. Just there's all sorts of things. It's just that it's not efficient. It's not cost effective. But in terms of removing trust from the equation and all sorts of it, the secure network effect, I got it. That's all great, but there's still a better way to do this, and that's why I'm skeptical for the long-term viability of Bitcoin. But other cryptocurrencies that are positioned to do other things that are maybe technologically not quite as ancient, yeah, I could see. I definitely do believe that other coins are going to take hold. I'm just saying, my gosh, if you're talking about Bitcoin specifically, look, I don't know, and maybe the way I'm leaning on this will prove to not be correct. Maybe just because it's the first, it's going to have some staying power, even though it never does anything. Or maybe somehow magically there will be some sort of technology that none of us can conceive right now that will make it viable, and okay, fine, then too. But outside of that, I don't know. I'm highly skeptical. But here's the thing. So Dave Schwartz continues here. As these puzzles grow more complex, yes, the cryptographic Sudoku puzzles, the computational power and energy required to solve them increases. The burdensome drain on energy sources truly highlights the negative impact of proof-of-work mining has on the environment and the need for more sustainable practices. So what about consensus mechanism? Well, consensus is a procedure that allows for a common agreement to be formed around which transactions are executed in order. This is referred to as the double spin problem, and one that proof-of-work mining constantly works to achieve while expending much energy in the process. The XRP ledger confirms transactions through a unique consensus mechanism that consumes negligible energy. And by the way, when he says negligible, I mean almost none. The XRP ledger utilizes a distributed agreement protocol which establishes supermajority agreement or consensus around a given transaction. In effect, the consensus that governs transactions of the digital asset XRP solves for the double spin problem without the need for intensive proof-of-work mining. And yeah, so there's a better way to solve the double spin problem. To me, it's kind of silly that that anybody would think that it's superior to require mining. And then when you talk to Bitcoin maxi trolls out there, some of them have a firm belief that if there's a cryptocurrency that doesn't require mining, that it's not a legitimate cryptocurrency. And to me, that the thought process you must go through in your little troll brain to come to that conclusion is just so flawed, from premise to conclusion. Every premise to whatever conclusion you come to, it's so flawed. It makes no sense in the world. Because if you think about it, then if mining's required for the initial distribution, what does that fundamentally change? Because eventually there will be no Bitcoin to mine if it makes it to the it's in game. There's no more mining to be done. And so then is it at that point no longer legitimate, or is it just because if you have original sin because you didn't have this Bitcoin, you didn't have mining, not just Bitcoin, but is it original sin, and if you don't have mining from the get-go, then you're tainted forever and you're not to be used? It's nonsensical thinking. This is what the Bitcoin maxi trolls have to say. Now, as a digital asset itself, XRP was designed with sustainability in mind. It is an inherently green currency. All XRP is already in existence, meaning no unsustainable mining practices or additional energy is ever required to produce more. Unlike other digital assets like Bitcoin and Ethereum, the unsustainable mining practices and proof-of-work mechanism behind Bitcoin and Ethereum are massive barriers for the more widespread adoption of cryptocurrencies. Ding, 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 Mr. Schwartz, you are freaking nailing it. Because look at this, you know why? Look, he is being an honest individual here. He's not coming from an ideological perspective. I've noticed this about him. He is so transparent. He goes where the truth takes him, and he takes as logical an approach as is possible. He really, really does, and that's not what other people are doing in on the Bitcoin side, by and large. And then he wraps up by stating, but not all blockchains are made equal. For example, for every 1 million transactions, XRP could power 79,000 light bulb hours. That's crazy. So for every 1 million transactions, XRP could power 79,000 light bulb hours. In contrast, for every, check this out, 1 million transactions, Bitcoin could power 4.51 billion light bulb hours. This means the energy consumption of XRP is 57,000 times more efficient. 57,000 times more efficient, XRP over Bitcoin. Insane. Energy consumption is a critical side effect of blockchain, and as we see greater adoption and usage of this new technology across the global financial system, it's one topic that needs to be addressed to help ensure a sustainable future for our planet and the global economy. Awesome stuff. Mr. Schwartz knocking it out of the park. I did want to say thank you also to James Rule XRP, who sent me this piece that is titled Energy Consumption Analysis of XRP Validator, just because it was on the same topic. And this is much more technical than the weeds, so I didn't want to read through chunks of this, especially given that David Schwartz just had this awesome piece. But I did want to say thank you. Hope you're listening, James Rule XRP. I do appreciate you tagging me, along with a number of other individuals within the XRP community. Anyway, that is it for this one. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!